Oh, perfect. All right.
Feel free to any questions in real time. I'll interrupt Mark, and you won't get frustrated with me.
Not at all. I love it. Yeah, interrupt away. It's fantastic. All right. So the first thing that we got to talk about is NAR. And if you know, put in the chat. Mark Brenneman, are you on the line? I'm going to bring Mark onto this discussion as well. Mark Brenneman, our divisional
Here
leader.
he is.
I'm here.
Welcome. So I know you know the number. Do you want to share the number of agents that NAR went backwards by in February?
22,303, I believe that was that number, Mark.
That's right. 22,303. So that 1.56 million realtors out there are likely going to fall. And I don't know the number. Nobody knows the number, but let's call it 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 by the end of the year, whatever that number is. Now, here's, if you have your calculator at home, here's what I want you to do. Take 22,303 and multiply it times 12%. Why 12%?
That's what Keller Williams' makeup is of the total NAR population.
Yeah, that's our percentage of agents to all of NAR. So what should have happened if we were just a cork riding on the water?
2,676.
So what should have happened is we should have gone backwards by 2,676 agents if we were a cork on the water and we were just rising and falling with NAR. But because you're amazing and because we have a different value proposition, you were not a cork on the water. However, we were minus
983.
983. Way better than our percentage would have said we should have been, and yet still going backwards. Team, this is when you take market share. And if you've read Shift, what you hear is market share that you give up right now, you're likely never going to recover. And market share that you gain right now, you're likely never going to give up. So here's the challenge. Like these numbers, we get that this is outperforming NAR and we expect to. You guys are the best in the world at this. Here's the challenge that we have. Do you know what was the lowest in February? As far back as the multi-year trends go, I have it right here. Do you know what number in our ecosystem was the lowest in February? Any guesses? Yeah, it was our gross agents. Good guess.
Or guest appointments.
Well, yes, but appointments sometimes are just filled out, right? And so they're what we call self-reported. What we can actually only see is how many we onboard. And so ironically, 4,724 was our gross. Now, let's just look at last year. Again, calculators, you're going to need it. Last year, we were at 5,202. So take 5,202 minus 4,724. What do you get?
478.
478.
478. Add that to your minus 983, and suddenly you're down 500. So if we just grossed the same amount as last year, but wait, there's more. The year before that, our gross was 5,726. 5,726. Now, what's 5,726 minus 4,724?
1,002.
1,002 minus 983?
We grow.
19.
19. By the way, that we'd all be celebrating that 19 just the way we're going to celebrate the minus 983, and that is we're still way outpacing. But here's the point. If we just do the activities, and we've proven we could do it. This was in 2021 of February. Remember what was going on in 2021? Pretty crazy time. The year before that, in 2020, right before COVID, 5276. The year before that, 5440. The year before that, 5633. So for 7 years, we have recruited enough gross agents in February to make sure that this was a positive number. And this is going to continue. I wish it were more difficult and complicated than this, but I promise you it's not. This is a game right now where it's all about gross recruiting. So we're going to have to keep having the either you're doing the activities or you're not conversation. And what must be true for you to out recruit your attrition? That attrition, as we've proven time and time again, is 3% a month. So let's just do the math again. You have 200 agents in your market center. 200 agents. What's 3% of 200, Mark?
60. Or I mean 6. I'm sorry, 6.
That's why we have an accountant on the line.
6.
Yeah. So if you have 200 agents in your market center, what's going to happen is you're going to lose 6. That's in a normal market. Are we in a normal market?
Nope.
No. So we know we're going to lose 6. So what must be true is we have to gross at least 6. Now, What's 6 times 824, since you got your calculator out?
4,944.
Yeah, not that far off. 4,994. So here's the thing, though. We're not in a normal market anymore. So what we just proved in February is that number creeped up to 7. Now, what's 7 times 824?
Whoops. 5768.
Thank you, Karen.
5768 minus our gross gets us a positive number. We have to get to 7 per market center. Now that's average, and if you're already doing 20, don't fall back to 7. But we have a lot of we have 25% of our market centers right now doing 2 or less. Guys, we have to gross it up. Go ahead, Mark.
Mark, and Jason, I think you hit this a little bit earlier. You got to go back and look at the activities, though, right? And really, the results are just a result of the fact of how many appointments are we going on. And, we can have this whole conversation about appointments, and I really don't want to go there, Mark. We all know what an appointment is. It's the first time face-to-face where you're going to ask someone to join the company. Done. And we are not having as many appointments today as we've had any time in the last 8 years. And it's just simply, well, I believe it's because there's a lot of noise in the world, and we've allowed noise to get in the way of being focused on what's important. I mean, fully transparent. Some of us have now gotten back on 411. Somehow we got off 411. Don't know why that happened, but it happened, right? True confession. But now we have to go back and focus on all that matters. And all that really matters is that we're building relationships with people, both inside and outside of our organization, to change their lives. And really, when you look at that buffalo right behind you, Mark, ask yourself this question. If you're going on fewer appointments, are you really charging the storm? Or have you hunkered down?
And it's all hands on deck. It's not that person needs to do it, that person needs to do it. But I want to go back to something that you said that's really important. And sometimes when the market is doing what it's doing, we have a 33% decline in units sold, right? From an agent's perspective, there's a third less business to do because we don't get fractions of houses. We either sell a house or we don't. And so when that unit number declines, there are less units for those 1.56 million agents. But here's the part that we sometimes forget. More math. What's 1.56 million times 88%?
1,372,800.
What does that number represent? That's all the agents that are not with Keller Williams. That's all the agents who have a better shot of surviving this storm if they are with Keller Williams. There are more agents to recruit from than there's ever been, other than last year, before. And so somehow 5-6 years ago, we were recruiting more out of a much smaller pond. And so what we've got to do is don't let what's happening in the real estate market keep you from the number one driver. You've heard this hopefully your entire careers, and that is recruiting solves everything. And don't get me wrong, culture is the most important thing we do. It always will be, always has been, always will be. And there's nothing that recruiting doesn't solve. You just have to know the math. And so the math is that 3% attrition rate per month is moving to 4%. So if you're already not grossing at least 3%, grossing at least 6% on average, and you need to do your own math, because if you have 100 agents, you're going to lose 3 in this market, 4, maybe headed to 5. If we have 2009 again, that number could be 7. But the only way that we thrive during this event, we take market share that we never relinquish, is if we outgross the number of people who leave the industry or leave us. And of course, you would expect a lot of people to leave the industry. We also have a very low unemployment rate. There's still more jobs than there are people looking for jobs. So if you're not successful as an agent, or you're starting to get worried or scared, or there's 33% less units or whatever the case is, you might consider getting out of the business and going on. Here's a question for you all, and that is, what do your offboarding systems look like? When people leave you, they only go a couple of places. There's 3 particular places that they go. And one of those places is they go to a competitor. Well, that's not ideal. We would rather that not happen, and yet it happens every day. People leave and they go to a competitor. The question is, what's our relationship with them like while they go out the door? Because right now we're getting more win backs than I've ever seen in this company. More people are realizing what value Keller Williams truly offers and how they need us during this time than ever before. And so the competitors, people who've gone to competitors, if you have a great offboarding system, by the way, do you keep in touch with them? Do you have the people who've left you? They've already said, I'm in love with Keller Williams at one point in their career, or Keller Williams is the best vehicle to help me take my business where I want to go. At one point, they already said that. Now they believe the competitor is the best place for whatever reason. So the question is, do we have a 8x8 33 touch for all the people who've left our market centers? And this is either you do or you don't. And so just do me a favor, please don't put it in the chat, but just write this down at home. Either I have a great offboarding system that exits people in a world-class fashion, gives them the open door to always come back. We still stay in touch with them. We have a systematized, they're in our database, they're tagged as an agent who used to be with us, who left, went to a competitor. We have it on an 8x8, 36 touch program. We keep inviting them back to events, et cetera. Either you do or you don't. Number two, they could go into what we call a referral company, meaning they may not be actively selling. They may want to reduce their fees. They may go take a job, but they're going to go into a referral company because they don't want to give up their license. They don't want to give up the ability to earn a referral fee if they were to find someone who wanted to buy or sell a house. So number two, same question. Do you have them all in a database? Are they all tagged as referral status? Do you have an 8x8 33 touch? Did you offboard them in a way that let them know that the minute they're ready to come back in as active, you can't wait to help them grow their business? And it's either a yes or no. Do you have a great system or you don't? Number three is they get out of the business altogether. They just give up. So I'm just going to say they're out of business. And again, I'm going to ask you the same questions. Do we have those people in a database? Here's a crazy stat for you, Mark. You ready? More math. 170,000 agents. If we have 4% attrition per month this year, which we expect, that's 48%. The industry is going to be much higher than that, as you're already seeing. So what's 48% of 170,000? You muted yourself somehow. I can't hear you.
800.
Mark, you're on mute again.
You came back for a second, but I don't know if it's in our studio or not.
816,000. Is that number right? 0.48.
No, 81.6.
81.6. I'm sorry.
48% of 170 can't be 816. I thought you were an accountant. Weren't you an accountant?
Yeah, well,
Maybe this is why you're so good at real estate.
I actually pulled up an email that I want to ask permission to just read this little snippet to you, Mark, for everyone.
All right, give me 1 second. I love it.
Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. So what you know is 81.6. That's the amount of people who are likely to leave Keller Williams this year. That's a tremendous amount. It's much higher than any of the ever before. And it's simply the business that we're in. It's a high turnover business. So on one hand, we all say we agree. You can go ahead and put in the chat. Do you agree this is a high turnover business, yes or no? And you're all going to say yes. The second piece of that is if you agree it's a high turnover business, then your activities on the front end to recruit agents has to be high turnover, meaning you have to bring in a lot of people to offset the people who leave. It's true for all real estate brands. There's not a super secret. I know there was an article in the press about a certain cohort of agents at a certain competitor, and they have this massive retention rate for the quarter. So what they did is they took their attrition, cut it by 75% and said, this is our number. And the reality is that certain competitor may have people under lock and key contracts, but that's a different story. This is happening industry-wide. Now the question is, do you have these people on a smart plan? The people who get out of the business, do you have them on an 8x8 33 touch? Because who could those 81,600 be? About half of those are going to be referral and competitors. But let's just say we have 40,000 people a year who came to our company because they had a dream, they were going to sell real estate, or they misunderstood it. They thought it was HGTV. They didn't know they were going to have to lead generate, build a database, et cetera. Those 40,000 humans now become what for our market centers? Where do dads keep all their jokes? In a database. So, I know you're dying.
Oh my God.
So those 40,000 humans said, hey, I understand Keller Williams is a quality company. They got all this training. There's amazing agents there. Couldn't those 40,000 people be in your database that you could then turn into some kind of lead source so that we could get more and more involved in this teamage idea, providing leads to our agents? Isn't that a possibility? Either way, You have 81,600 people who at one time thought you were the best place for them to go live their wildest dreams. We have to exit with class, and I would argue with more class than we enter with, because the win backs are crazy from this first cohort. Getting people back into the business we have a great success rate for people who actually have them in a database. And then the people get out of the business, they're most likely to trust you at Keller Williams over other brands. So there's a huge opportunity for us in this conversation. But wait, there's more. In order for us to make sure that we don't go backwards, we stay profitable, I'll give you those numbers in a second. What we have to do is we have to go recruit as many as are leaving in our local market center. That's the game you're playing, and that's just to break even. I don't want any of you to break even. I want us to grow and thrive and have amazing opportunities, right? We have market centers still net 30, net 40 in this company. Even in this market, they're net 30, net 33, right? Those numbers. So you can be too, and we have a lot of strategies to get there. Go ahead, Mark, with your email.
Yeah, so I got this over the weekend. Actually, Jason, I got it Saturday afternoon, not long after we talked. So I do work on Saturdays. Looking to come back to KW, and the person says, I'm reaching out because I have a real estate team at a certain three-lettered company that you all know. I do about 75 million in production, and I'm considering returning to KW and bringing my team with me. There are many reasons. The most important one is I fit best in your culture and environment. I miss the coaching. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the training. I miss the community. Gang, I just want to bring that up because when I got that over the weekend, it was an aha. I don't want to say it's an aha. There is so much potential for us, for the people that for whatever reason chose to look at other things. So I just wanted to share that.
No, you're spot on. And there are more and more of those people. Here's the challenge. We still live in an ego-driven business. We're in an ego-driven society. It's not a bad thing. And what happens far too often, because we don't have a world-class exit strategy, and sometimes we have a terrible exit strategy. We get mad at people because they leave us, right? And then we make sure that bond is so horribly broken that we never get into business together again. What I'm sharing with you is that a lot of people would share that sentiment, Mark, if we just asked, if we just said, if we made them, and Jason has the script for this, but I forget how you say it, but when you invite someone back, you have to do it in triumph. Is that the?
Yeah, people want to return in triumph, not failure. And so the question for the entire team is, what's the triumphant story for this human's return?
So one of the things that you could do today after this call is go look at every person who has left your office as far back as you can find them, put them in a database, build a smart plan, invite them to an event, and I'll bet you will find a boatload of gross agents in that group and a lot of them are already thinking this way. We announced the return of Ken Pozak at Family Reunion, and there are a lot more like him. And there are a lot of people reaching out saying, I can't believe Ken came back. I was actually thinking about coming back. Can we solve this one issue, whatever the case is? Do you want to say that?
No.
Okay. So
I'd like to say something different.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I do think that the math matters and that everyone has to get really clear on it, which is exactly what we're doing now. But it isn't like every single state went backwards in the number of agents. And I just want to be clear, like if you're in New York, North Carolina, or South Carolina, Illinois, Ohio, Tennessee, Indiana, Utah, Nevada, Connecticut, Alabama, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma, New Mexico, Maine, Rhode Island, West Virginia, and Vermont, you all went up in agent count from NAR's numbers in the month of February. So if you're in those places and you went backwards, or if you're in those places and your region went backwards, like let's just be real, the number of realtors in your states grew. And I just, cause math. Don't get mad at me, just cause math.
Well, and conversely, California went backwards, yet we had a region in California grow by 147 agents this month. So you don't have to be a cork on the water. You don't have to be susceptible to what's happening out there. Here's why this matters, and this is where I apologize up front. You know I love all of you, and I mean this to be as loving as possible. We've been talking about cutting expenses since 2019 in a heavy, heavy way. We called it remargining the business. We kind of got attacked for saying that meant something different, but we have to cut our expenses. when your income falls, when your units fall by 33% and you don't change your expenses, guess what happens to your profit? Let me read to you. And this is a huge concern. Without our market center partners, we don't have agents. Without agents, none of us have a company, right? And so here's the thing: of the Keller Williams market centers that made profit in February, that total amount was $6.2 million. 6.2 million for the ones who made money. For those who lost money, that total amount was negative 3.7 million, for a total owner profit of 2.5 million in February. For the entire company, we made 2.5 million in owner profit. Now, to put that into perspective, last year we made 8.6 million in profit. Your profit has fallen 75%. You say, yeah, but Mark, you don't understand. The market's gone back. I do understand, but we haven't matched our expense reduction to the business reality that's happening all around us. And until we do, you can continue to expect our profits to go backwards. The big issue is, of that group that lost 3.7 million, there aren't many months like that where we survive through that. So imagine today, here's an exercise for you, Mark Brenneman, because we are reimagining everything. But imagine today, you could go start over and launch your market center. Would you get the same amount of square footage? Would you have the same staff in the way that you compensate them, right? And please don't mishear this. I'm not saying go cut all your staff, right? Because what we tend to do, and what we're seeing, quite honestly, is we tend to cut the things that actually drive our business first, and we don't cut the things that we shouldn't have if we were starting over. So office space, are you subleasing? We're going to get into all of this as time goes on. In your regions, we're going to be delivering Profit Camp for market centers. That's that CPR we talk about, and cost control. But you have to earn the right to spend the money that you're spending. And here's the easy math for that. So do this for me at home. How many, and Mark, we'll just role play this and you can make up the numbers, okay?
Got it.
Mark, how many agents in your market center?
Just 294.
294. Way to go. You couldn't use the average. You got to be I love it. 294. And what percent, or what, how many cappers in that market center?
We have 43.
43. Perfect example. Now, if you take 43 divided by 294, what you're going to get is about 15, 16%. And that's going to be very common across the company, right? If you have 200 agents, you're going to have 30 cappers if you're an average market center. So this is right on. What's your cap in that market center, Mark?
16,000.
16,000. Now, gang, this is where, again, please love me through this conversation. I really want to help you. Our fundamentals of our economic model, and you don't get a pass on math. I don't care what state you live in, math is math. So our economic fundamentals, there's 25 of them. Number one is lead with revenue, not expenses. We say that, we don't necessarily quantify it, know what that means. But number 16 is the holder of all truth. And that holder of all truth says your cap times the number of cappers you have is your budget, your approved expenses. This is what we should build our entire business model on. This is the sound fundamental economic model of Keller Williams. So what's 43 times 16,000?
688,000.
688,000. Divide that by 12.
57,333.
All right, now here's the question for all of you playing at home. How many cappers do you have? If you don't know that, you can look at your cap management report. If you don't have a cap management report, pull a top-down list. And I promise you, if this team leader knows how to do all these things, everyone watching this knows how to do it better. And so what you can find out is how many of your agents contributed a full cap to your market center last year. I don't mean how many I'm a team leader too, so everyone breathing is a capper, Jason. Did you know this?
I knew that.
I recruited a brand new agent and she's gonna cap this year, I guarantee it. And I'm taking some heat for it, but I'm a team leader. I believe everybody can cap. And so, so the challenge there is how many of them actually did cap over the last 12 months, number one. Number two, how many of the people you think are cappers or have on your cap management report that have some kind of other arrangement, which is a challenge for you right now, because again, you don't get a pass on math. So how many cappers? I would argue that the number of cappers we think we have is different than the number of cappers who contribute a full cap is actually what we do have. And the problem with that is that the math changes. So for example, if this number is really 38, well, that's close. I mean, it's horseshoes, right? It's close. What's 38 times $16,000, Mark? What's that number?
That's $608,000.
608 divided by 12 is a little north of $50,000. Suddenly there's a $7,000 gap per month, and that has a dramatic impact on your profitability and your profit share. So we just got to understand what the real number is. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, and the thing too is my my approved expenses there are about 55,000. My grand total operating expenses, which is what we're measuring. So don't hide behind those approved expenses, are $75,000. So literally I'm 12 to 14 cappers behind where I need to be. So I've either got to quickly go find those cappers, or I got to find a way to take, $16,000, $18,000 out of my monthly expenses.
Yeah.
And we hide behind approved expenses. And you and I
Amy
know
wants to know.
in times
Sorry,
like
Mark.
this, the things that reduce our expenses, office rents, MSAs, copies, whatever, people are cutting back on all that. You have agents walking in right now, giving up office space. It's happening.
Do you count the teams with consistent half cappers?
I typically don't, because what we have to understand is, as point number 16 goes on, your cappers times your cap should pay your expenses. Everybody else is where your profit is. So we run for-profit businesses. So I count my consistent half cappers on teams. Now, if I have a team cap, I'll count that whole team cap. But here's the thing. Let me ask it back. What is your attrition rate like on your teams versus everybody else in the market center? Much, much higher. So when you say we have a consistent team member who does a half cap, the idea here is they may turn over a lot faster, and the next person coming in may not reach that half cap. So, but we want to go back to this idea that everybody else's profit. See, right now, last year, our average profit was $180,000 per market center, with 200 agents in it. And so when you think about businesses worth owning, and most market centers have an investor group, they have other things, right? But I think about profit share, 140,000, 138,000 per market center. Is that really enough to spread among 200 people to get them energized and excited about growing the market center? I'm going to argue that it's not. And so if we keep on this track, and on Mark's example here, number one, you got to know exactly how many cappers you have times your cap. If you're out of budget here, you got to get back there as fast as possible, whatever that looks like. You've got to get to that number. And it's also possible that the percentage of people who aren't capping do less deals. In fact, it will happen. Your $6 million producer in a market like this will still do $4 million if they don't change anything about what they're doing, and they'll still cap at your market center, Mark. But a higher percentage of your non-cappers, the 251 people who don't cap, are not going to do any deals in this market, and therefore your attrition is going to go up. So anything you want to add to this, Mark?
Well, I mean, the only thing I would add to that relative to the upside of it is it's why Teamridge and leads also becomes a focal point. Not only does it help that group, but it also is something that's going to help you bring more production into the place and improve that gross. I mean, the fact that
Absolutely.
you're out offering leads today in this market, top of the funnel leads, I mean, that's a game changer.
And yet 90% of our ecosystem hasn't gotten there yet. And so the challenge is, it sounds great that this new thing is going to be what saves us. We got to save ourselves first, and then go add the new thing and maximize our profit so that every market center gets to $1 million a year. That's our goal by 2025, regardless of what the market's doing. Jason? Any questions, comments, concerns?
Nope.
Oh, is everybody tuned out? We've lost half of the audience?
No, you got 1,700 folks. They're just riveted to this.
Oh, riveted. I love it. Thank you. Well, here's the thing. Hopefully you hear this as a very caring conversation, and it's math. And so no matter what we do, what we have to do is we have to find a way to go out recruit the percentage of people who leave us. That number is 5%. So 5% in the average market center of 200 people is 10 a month. And what's going to happen here, team, is either if you have 200 agents, or better yet, you're either recruiting 5% a month or you're not. And we have a slew of market centers that do every month. And we have a lot of market centers that don't. We have some regions that are at about 5% in the region. Those are ones that are growing. We have other regions at 1 and 2%, and they're falling dramatically as a region. But understand that your gross outcome, the number of people you gross every month, is simply the result of the systems, the models, the people, and the technology you have in your market center. So if you're at gross 6 a month right now and you've got to get to 10, you're simply missing or have the wrong systems, right? If you're a team leader, either you're having a huddle every morning or you're not. You're lead generating every day or you're not. You're following up leads or you're not. You're going to lunch or you're not. You're having appointments or you're not. It's that simple. Either you are or you aren't. And so for the market centers who aren't, look, it's really hard, and no offense to anybody on this call, it's really hard to have gross 0 for the month. And if we have gross 0 for the month, we're going to go backwards, right? So no matter where you are per month, there is a system, a model, a person, or a technology you are missing or have the wrong ones to get that to 10 a month. It's that simple. So have you done the diagnosis in your market center? What is it? You two alluded to the most important lead measure that gets us to that 10 a month gross if we're talking about 200 agent market center at 5%, and that is appointments. So the question is, what percentage of your appointments, well, number one, how many appointments do you get? Number two, what percentage of those appointments are coming to you as warm leads, warm connections, warm referrals from your agent base? Number three, what percentage of those appointments are coming from your warm vendor relationships? How many vendors are supplying you with a pipeline full of people every single month so that you can get to 10? If they're not, it's a quick and easy phone call. Hey, Mark, ring, ring.
Hey, how are you? It's Mark.
Hey, is this Mark Brenneman, the inspector from down the road?
It is.
Hey, Mark, this is Mark King over at Keller Williams. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great as well. How's your business?
I'm a little bit slower right now, but we're hanging in there.
Yeah, I'm hearing that all over. Hey, would it help you to build your business if I could put you in front of a couple hundred agents here in our office?
Man, I would love that. I've been trying to do that forever. I'd love that.
Cool. I'd love it too. So the currency at Keller Williams is agent relationships. I don't want your money. I don't want you to be a part of my vendor program. I just want you to come over and learn why our office is so good at helping people survive and thrive in a market like this. So who do you know that's having a little struggle in their real estate business?
Quite a few people, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the deal I'll make with you. I'll help you build your business. You help me build mine. Who can I reach out today and talk to as a referral from you to talk about how we can help them with their business?
I think you got to talk to Jason Abrams. I know he's really.
Yeah, he's struggling. He's struggling. All right, cool. So now I'm going to get that. Now, what happens if that vendor says, oh my goodness, I couldn't do that because I work with all the different brands? Here's my response. I totally understand that and I totally respect that. And by the way, there's plenty of inspectors out there.
Drop the mic.
And then I'm going to be silent and let them self-discover.
Yeah.
So are we maximizing, by the way, do we have a database of all of our vendors? You notice a theme today. Do we have a database of all of our vendors? Do we have a smart plan that goes out to them that helps solicit referrals of other agents? Like what is your system for driving appointments to the market center? If you don't have all of those things, then what happens is we're focused on what I'm going to call the 80%, and it's really easy to do. Some of you, there is a fundamental truth in this business, and it looks like this. When productivity is high, like it has been the last couple of years, I can't remember, and I'm in a different seat now, and so I see a lot more of the drama that happens at a local level because unfortunately we get included in a lot of that, and we'll jump in and do save calls, or we'll jump in and do different things, and so it's been an interesting couple of years. But because production's been so high, the relative drama in the industry has been really low. Now, when the production falls by 33%, what can you expect as a correlative with drama?
Goes up.
It's going to go up, and I promise you it goes up more than 33%, right? So it's a fundamental truth of the market that we're in. So what systems do you have in place to mitigate the drama? And the more drama, the more we get stuck focusing on our 80%. You all know the Vilfredo Pareto principle, and you've all heard it, but do you think about it on a daily basis in the market center? So here's the wise old story that we like to tell, but I just want to remind you to share this with the people in your market center. Share it with your agents because the agents are struggling with the same thing. You have some big rocks that you have to get done to succeed in this business. You got some smaller rocks, you got some sand, and you got some water. All of this is 80% stuff. This is the 20%. What falls in that? Lead generation. offboarding exit, world-class exit strategies and putting people into command and putting them on a smart plan. It's putting all your vendors into command, putting them on a smart plan. It's right, that's your 20%. And unfortunately, when drama is high because productivity is low, we tend to spend more time in our drama. We spend more time in our 80%. So if you think about this, if I fill this perfectly drawn, art is not my thing, this perfectly drawn picture, you only have room right now for your big rocks. If you let, another thing, if you let the pebbles and the sand and the water get in the way of your bucket, you will have no room for your big rocks. And that's simply what's showing up in our multi-year trend. Our appointments are down, way down. Our gross is down, way down. Our net is just a reflection of those two lead measures. So I'm going to challenge all of you in a loving way. I'm going to challenge you. It's for your own good conversation. And I know how it sounds. I get it. And I've lived it. I'm going to challenge you to go get into your 20%, get the activities up and get your gross up and do it as fast as you possibly can. Roll-ins, indies, mergers, acquisitions, large teams. That's the way you go recapture your market share. That's the way you go forward when everybody else is going backward. Your thoughts, Mark?